it's Ephram Oliver, and welcome to the first video of 2020. So, 2019 was an undeniably great year for movies. In retrospect, much better than the previous year. I feel like I found a lot more new favorite films that I'll be thinking about and revisiting forever. And even though it's over, I can't let that year go. It started out a little weak with a lot of just unoriginal films, big budget blockbusters, most of them being sequels, remakes, reboots, and spin-offs no one really asked for, and some of them even flopped at the box office with a few exceptions. So that was like the first half of the year, so I wasn't really sure about it, but then the second half just picked up and kicked the crap out of the first year, and we got some truly amazing and memorable films. So similar to last year, we're going to be going through all the films I saw last year in order of release date, not in order of when I watched them, and yes, that release date will be the date it was available to most of the general public, not just film critics at film festivals. What's changed about the format, however, is that I'm going to be going through most of these movies in rapid succession. I'll flash the rating on screen, I'll give some quick thoughts, and then we'll move on. I'll link to my Letterboxd account in the description so you can read the full reviews for my extended thoughts on them, but right now it's just a bit of a lightning round before I get into my official top 10 favorite movies of the year, where I'll talk about the movies that really spoke to me more in depth. So without further ado, let's just get into it. Starting off, we have Glass. I don't hate this movie like most people. I actually think the first two acts are very, very good. The third act kind of drops the ball a little bit. Overall, not horrible, but definitely disappointing. Fire, the greatest party that never happened, or whatever the weird subtitle is. This was the documentary on Netflix that everyone praised for its relevance at the time, but then everyone quickly forgot about for some reason. But for me, it still remains as one of the smartest movies of 2019. The Kid Who Would Be King. I'd love to call this an underrated classic, but I can't. Sorry, I don't blame people for not going out to see it. It's pretty generic. The Lego Movie 2. The first one defined my childhood, man, and this one just left me feeling pretty empty. It's very annoying and loud and has none of the subtlety or nuance of the original. Alita Battle Angel. According to Weird Robots on Twitter, this movie is a masterpiece and one of the greatest films ever made. I'm here to tell you it's not. Don't listen to them. It's okay. It's watchable. It feels like a Nickelodeon movie with a higher budget. It's really not that special. Happy Death Day to You, a fun title to say out loud. The first one was teetering on the edge of quality, and this one just fully earned its place in my heart as this dumb, schlocky, sci-fi nonsense B-movie. I had fun with it. How to Train Your Dragon, The Hidden World. Same thing as the Lego Movie 2. The first one defined my childhood. Second one was still good, but brought it down a couple notches, and this one is just pretty mediocre and forgettable. It has a really bizarre conclusion to the trilogy that kind of ruins the messages that those other films sent. I have zero thoughts on Captain Marvel. Can we all just agree that this is a movie? Long Shot, cute and fun. Seth Rogen does spend most of the time justifying why he and Charlize Theron should be a couple, though. I don't know, man. Us is just one of those films I appreciate more than I like. I can't really put it any better than that. Shazam slaps. It's my favorite thing DC has ever made. Don't at me. Go watch Shazam. I gotta be honest. I couldn't sit through Unicorn Store. I had like 45 minutes left, maybe, and I was just like, I could be spending my time better. I don't want to be too mean, but Brie Larson, stick to acting for now, or please get better, because yikes. Guava Island. Needs more Gambino. Under the Silver Lake, I gotta be honest, the only movie I've ever really liked Andrew Garfield in was The Social Network. I guess he was okay in Hacksaw Ridge. This feels like A24's Joker. It feels like it has a lot to say about society, but it really doesn't. And it's just nasty and not fun to watch. Avengers Endgame, the big one, it's kind of an impossible task to make a movie like this, especially in the way that they did, but overall they did a pretty great job with it still. It's grown on me every time I rewatched it. Detective Pikachu, the first 40 minutes were actually pretty great, dare I say, and then it went straight to video game town and got kind of bad. It kind of sucks to say that this is the best video game movie. The Souvenir, if Joanna Hogg wanted to make this seem like a student film, then she succeeded. I don't know whether that's a good thing or not, though. John Wick Chapter 3 Parabellum. I'm waiting for these movies to evolve like Mission Impossible has over the years, but until then, this is the peak, and honestly, I'm fine with that. Booksmart, I saw this 3 times in 1 week. No regrets, it's a perfect movie. And people were too harsh on Brightburn. It's about what I expected from the trailers, and I don't know, it was pretty gruesome and cool and fun and nice. Rocketman, much better than Bohemian Rhapsody. I know that's a really unpopular opinion. Really cool of me to point that out. But I still don't think it's quite as good as it could be. X-Men Dark Phoenix is indeed a series of scenes with characters in them portrayed by actors. It made me feel absolutely nothing by the end. The Last Black Man in San Francisco. It took a little bit to settle into the style, particularly at the beginning, but once I did, I got a lot out of this. Very underappreciated and powerful film. Go check it out on Amazon Prime right now. Dead Don't Die. I have no idea why this movie exists. Jim Jarmusch, why did you put me through that? Men in Black International. I think Men in Black sequels could work, contrary to popular belief. I mean, I never envisioned Men in Black as just a standalone movie that would have no continuation. But now that we've tried 3 times, let's just stop. Toy Story 4. Personally, Toy Story 3 is still my ending, but this was pretty cool too. I liked it. Yesterday. Needs less Ed Sheeran. Midsommar. I am sorry, Film Twitter. I do not understand Ari Aster. Could you please explain it to me? I am a child. Spider-Man Far From Home. I loved it the first time. Thought it was pretty bland the second time. And I'm kind of scared to watch it again, to be honest, because I think I'll just start just disliking the movie. The Farewell, just a great slice-of-life movie with a poignant representation of Chinese culture. I mean, I would know all about that because I went to China over the summer, and let me just tell you, I'm not exaggerating too much when I say that seeing The Lion King in theaters was one of the worst experiences I've had in a while. The screaming children everywhere, just couldn't sit still. And honestly, I can't blame them because this movie is trash. Don't watch it ever. Once Upon a Time, ellipses, in Hollywood. Easily Tarantino's most idle and probably worst film out of the ones I've seen. But I still enjoyed the ride, and these actors are doing a good job. I just didn't take away that much from it like other people have. Good Boys, pretty much exactly what you expect, not much more. Ready or Not, more of a straightforward horror movie than I expected, but it's a great one to watch with your mom. I watched it with my mom, we enjoyed it, we had a good time. Peanut Butter Falcon, weird title, good movie. Ending was a little unsatisfying, but still, it's a sweet little movie. I liked it. It Chapter 2, I can't wait for It Chapter 3 when they reveal that Pennywise was gay too. Everyone is gay in this movie. They don't know how to write characters, so they're just like, you're gay. Is Stephen King trying to tell us something, buddy? Hustlers. I am very glad this was directed by a woman, because if it wasn't, it'd probably be awful and exploitative and bad. But luckily for us, it's great. Ad Astra is a crowd-pleasing blockbuster starring Brad Pitt about how venturing into the depths of space will turn you into an emotionless husk of a man and make you lose your perception of humanity and just be concerned about your own ego. I vibed with it. Pain and Gloria, Gloria, didn't do much for me except make me want to watch Birdman again, but Antonio Banderas, that guy, he's good at the acting. Joker, not really a movie that gets better when you think about it, and it's kind of bizarre that we're still thinking about it because it really doesn't have that much to say, but it was still pretty refreshing for its genre, and I'm excited to see more character-driven, director-driven comic book stuff like this. Hopefully, maybe better. I just want a better version of this movie to exist, basically. How to describe Parasite in 2 words. I'm gonna go with, that's cinema. Gemini Man, hey, leave my 2 Will Smiths alone. Ang Lee tried his hardest. Go watch it, it's not that bad. Well, don't actually, because it's no longer in theaters, and there's really no point to see it on digital. But still, I'm defending it. Gemini Man gang, where you at? The Lighthouse. I thought I would hate this for some reason, but oops, I loved it. Zombieland Double Tap is shrug. Dolomite is my name. Much better than The Disaster Artist. That's a really cool film, bro. Awesome opinion. But yeah, it is. It's great. Go watch it on Netflix. It's cool. I liked it. Jojo Rabbit. First half was pretty good. Second half destroys me emotionally. Do not listen to film Twitter. This movie is good. I don't understand why people are trashing on it. It's neat. Honey Boy, I don't know why there were so many chickens. Can someone explain the chickens to me? I've thought about what they could possibly symbolize, and it doesn't make any sense. But otherwise, great movie. I just really need to talk about the chickens. Seriously, what is up with those chickens? Dr. Sleep. Clearly, people slept on this movie. Ford v Ferrari. James Mangold is really good at making movies both me and my dad can enjoy. Some top-notch, wholesome, masculine energy. You'll love to see it. Waves. Who told Trey Edward Schultz he can make a teen drama? That person should be fired. Frozen 2. It's shocking how boring this movie is. Disney is weirdly bad at making entertaining movies. A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood, A Beautiful Day. Screenplay gets the job done. The direction, though, superb. Clearly, Mario Heller, Best Director snub. Come on, guys. The Two Popes. The cinematography and editing are honestly pretty bad, but the performances and the script make it all worth it. I just really like seeing these two old men talk about faith for over 2 hours. I don't know. I'm weird. I liked it. The Irishman. I feel like I don't need to explain why I like this movie. It turns out Martin Scorsese is just good at making movies. I mean, it's no Marvel movie, but Knives Out. Rian Johnson is the king, and I want to see 60,000 more Benoit Blanc mysteries. Portrait of a Lady on... I can't do a French accent. Yeah, Portrait of a Lady on Fire. Probably one of the most beautiful and intimate films I have ever seen. Marriage Story. I just feel like Noah Baumbach just really gets me, you know. Uncut Gems. I wish Uncut Gems was set at Hanukkah so I could call it a holiday movie. It makes sense. Adam Sandler was in the last great Hanukkah movie, which was 8 Crazy Nights. And now it could be in this one, but instead it's set at Passover. I get that may have more like thematic relevance with the plagues, and this is whole like morality tale. But still, the world needs another Hanukkah movie. Yeah, this was good. I mean, Safdie brothers know what they're doing. Star Wars Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker. Really, really not good. I'll get into it more when it comes out on Blu-ray in a video. Look out for that. Cats. I don't know whether I should put this at the top of my ranking or at the bottom. This movie baffles me on every single level. I don't know how to rate it, so for now I'll just give it a meow out of 10. Yeah. May change to a woof later. I don't know. This is I probably shouldn't be putting a comedy special on this list, but I'm gonna do it anyway. All the kids in this make John Mulaney look like a talentless hack, which is saying something. Little Women. I am officially a Greta Gerwig stan. If she made every movie ever, the world would be a better place. 1917 was an amazing experience. Do yourself a favor and see it on the most giant screen possible. You won't regret it. Alright, so now that I've gotten my quick thoughts out on every movie I saw last year, let's break down the 10 best things I saw in 2019. Starting off at number 10. I wanted to highlight a really underseen and appreciated movie I saw last year, and that is, of course, The Last Black Man in San Francisco. Look, this is one of the best looking and sounding movies of the year. It has a really unique and beautiful style, but that's just the cherry on top because this is also one of the most emotional viewing experiences of the year. The film functions as both a rant and a love letter against modern-day San Francisco and just conveys a broader message about the people society leaves behind. It's a real shame that this wasn't given a wider distribution and recognized more as a result, but please take my recommendation and see this movie. It's wonderful. At number 9, we have 1917. Now, I haven't seen that many war movies, but I think I built this false picture of them in my head, and I expected to find this in particular underwhelming, holy crap, was I wrong. I know it's cliched to say, but this really is an experience like no other. I was gripping my cup holder and firmly planted on the edge of my seat as I took in all of Roger Deakins' gorgeous cinematography and let Thomas Newman's atmospheric score surround me. I think the most surprising thing about this movie, though, is just how humid it is. This is a war film that isn't about big battles and explosions. It's mainly just two men trudging through empty space and desperately trying to avoid some of the minor obstacles in their path. Despite the ticking time bomb element, the film takes the time to slow down, and I really appreciated that. If you haven't seen this, what are you doing, dog? My number 8 pick is from the internet's favorite director, Rian Johnson, but seriously, Knives Out is amazing. I loved it the first time, but when you see it again and pick up on all the details that lead to the eventual conclusion, Rian Johnson's masterful screenplay really reveals itself. The humor and cast are all A++, but I think the biting social commentary takes the cake for me. It's such a strange and dangerous task to subvert the mystery genre, which is a genre already known for its twists, and tackle class structure and Trump-era politics. This movie is genius, and I cannot wait to see this guy ruin more people's childhoods. Number 7 is very different. Portrait of a Lady on Fire is probably one of the best romance films ever made, and the other ones are probably French, but I haven't seen them. So let the hyperbole stand, because this thing is so ridiculously intimate and well acted. It also is probably my favorite score of the year, and that is rarely used until that absolutely wrecking final shot, making it all worth it. I really don't want to say much about this movie. I just think it's the kind of thing that everyone passionate about film should see at least once in their life. Number 6, it's The Lighthouse. Going into this, I had no idea if I would like it. I'm not usually a big horror fan. It looked pretty avant-garde and weird to the point where I felt like I might not understand it, like with Midsommar. But surprise, this is one of my favorite movies of the year. Robert Pattinson and Willem Dafoe are excellent. It's disgraceful that they didn't get nominated for anything. The aesthetic fits the movie very well and gives the film its timeless quality that will likely make it an undeniable cult hit for generations to come. But unlike other movies of this kind, if you get past the abstractness and ambiguity of it all, which I love to analyze, there's actually a straightforward movie about two men in isolation just slowly going crazy. I hope it comes back to theaters because I'd honestly recommend everyone see it on the big screen. I don't think your television set will do it justice. Number 5, The Irishman. It's funny to me that because of his Marvel comments, everybody thinks of Martin Scorsese as this pretentious guy who makes extremely inaccessible films, but the thing is, that's never who he's been. The Irishman is one of the most entertaining and well-paced movies of the year. The first 2.5 hours are great, and the last hour goes for the knockout punch. I really cannot wait to check this one out again. Number 4, Marriage Story. Where do I even start with this one? I watched it at like 10 o'clock, right after the opening night of a musical at my school, and I loved it, but I knew I had to watch it again. So I did, 2 days later, and then I watched it again on a whim recently. This movie hasn't left my mind since I saw it. I keep replaying scenes and nearly bringing myself to tears from how perfect it is. I look at these people on Twitter complaining about how this movie is emotionally manipulative and just 2 hours of Adam Driver and Scarlett Johansson screaming at each other, and I just want to slap them, man. The scene that everybody talks about is the antithesis of the movie. This is a movie about people who ultimately care about each other, slowly drifting apart and trying to raise their child while the other isn't there. It can be sad at times, but I think by the ending you can tell that Baumbach is taking from his own life experiences and trying to be optimistic about the future, and I think that's so important. Number 3 is a movie no one has really been talking about. It's Parasite. Look, I have no hot takes about this movie. I think it's one of the few movies that can't really be called overrated. And the only underrated element is maybe the score. Seeing it a second time with my dad really showed me how effective this movie is and just how about anyone can watch this movie and get something out of it. As Bong Joon-ho says, once you get past the 1-inch tall barrier of subtitles, you can introduce yourself to so many new and amazing films. I really don't have to tell you to watch this one. Number 2, Booksmart. Few comedies are as layered and well directed as this one. Even though the story is mainly about Amy and Molly, Olivia Wilde and Katie Silverman made one of the best ensemble pieces of 2019. Every character feels like they matter and contribute so well to Amy and Molly's journeys, and are so wonderfully portrayed by these actors who need to be on the shortlist for every movie ever from now on because of their sheer talent. I saw it 3 times in 1 week, and I think it's going to age like fine wine for future generations. Number 1, alright, it's the big one. Give us a drum roll. Greta Gerwig's Little Women. I had never read the book, but I had been going into this after Lady Bird, which is a basically perfect movie, and by the end, I just said wow to myself as I exited the theater and went to the bathroom because I'd been holding in my bladder for nearly an hour because I did not want to miss a second of this movie. I haven't been this moved by something since La La Land in 2016. From the moment that Jo runs down the busy city streets of New York after having signed her first book deal, to the moment that she hugs her latest book about the lives of her and her sisters close to her heart, I was tearing up and cracking up and everything in between. Greta Gerwig has made one of the all-time great book-to-movie adaptations and somehow topped her last effort. I'm going to keep coming back to this movie forever, and I am more than proud to call it one of my favorite films of all time. Anyway, if you want to see my full ranking of every movie I saw last year, as well as the written reviews for each of them, check out my Letterboxd account down in the description. Leave a like if you enjoyed the video, subscribe if you want to check out the rest of my content for some reason, and as always, I will see you in the next video. This is Ephram Oliver.